They caught another body. The feds caught another body, y'all. And I'm going to tell you why I actually don't care.
Candles in the timeline, smoke in the comments, grief turned to theory, spirals in the sermons, sirens in the distance, silence in the footage. Everybody's certain, nobody ever proves it. We watch the fire bring it mute in mid-sentence. Now the void gets populated with vengeance. They say lone operator, case closed, tidy package, but the timeline's full of gaps, missing traffic, DNA on the metal. But where's the moving picture? No campus angle, no shadow, no witness filter. Friends turn into factions, trust starts malfunctioning. I'm mourning and I'm measuring who benefits from nothing. My chest feels pneumatic, pressure keeps inflating. I don't want the truth unedited, not a new rating. Every obvious answer feel like stage direction. Every settled headline leaks another question. We're grieving in the static, praying for a pattern. Hush hush in the hallways, hands behind the curtain. One voice turns to silence, then the lines are shattered. If they got away clean, who's next on the platter? We're grieving in the static, praying for a pattern. Hush hush in the hallways, hands behind the curtain. Hold the line of black pill, pick your broken banner. Tell me who profits when the truth gets thinner. Some go full nihilistic, call it all pre-written. Some stay disciplined, steady, say do not quit it. But even the faithful feel the fraction in the handshake.
I am absolutely sick of what I am going to label the left now. And really, it's just left or right. It's people who you like or don't like is what it comes down to. To me, it has no meaning other than these are people who I disagree with on this topic. So I don't know what else to call them other than the left. They're getting on my nerves. At some point, we have to have some logic. Just because you're protesting against the federal government doesn't mean you're doing something based. I don't know. You're not libertarian, so why is that the position with ICE? You're not protesting against the IRS. You're not protesting against the FBI. You're protesting against the ICE. And these are men with guns. Would somebody tell the people of Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, that this is not a game? That there's men with guns coming through? And you might have to, if you disagree with that, you're going to have a game plan better than just walking in the street in front of them. Why wouldn't they eliminate you? Why wouldn't they vaporize you? And why would I support you? You guys haven't even got me on your side. I'm the one that was talking about, at least from the right, if you want to call me that, about the Abrego Garcia. I'm the one that was talking about the people who are being deported or visas being canceled and me not agreeing with it from a First Amendment perspective. I'm the one that's saying that Trump isn't doing mass deportations. I know you guys don't agree with the mass deportations, but I was the one saying Trump is a front for the surveillance state. And you can't, so I'm not pro-ICE, believe it or not, and you can't even get me on your side. So I don't even know what you're looking to accomplish. What is the point if you can't even get me on your side? I'm not pro-ICE, and I'm not even close to your side right now. And a lot of it comes down to the tactics and then the reasoning why you're in the streets. Why is Trump running in the streets right now over there? He's not doing mass deportations. He's in the streets there because it blew up. It blew up. Why? Because of the Somalis. The Somalis really blew this whole thing open. And so you're in the street, especially you black imams, I just don't get it. But anyone, you're in the street for these alien headed shaped, triangle shaped, weird eyed shaped. I mean, you can look at them and see their low IQ. I am so fatigued of them. I don't care. It reminds me of the Ricky Gervais Oscars or whatever Grammy speech where he's like, I don't care. I'm falling. I don't care. You look stupid. The Somalis just look stupid. Why are they even here? And you're in the streets catching bullets for them? And you think I'm supposed to be empathetic to you? No, something's wrong with you. You're emotional, you're out of control, you're unhinged, you have no logic. You're even within the scope of your own belief, it has no logic. The leftists are supposed to be for pro workers. They're supposed to be pro America in their own way. Pro solidarity from a class standpoint. What the hell do illegal immigrants have to do with Americans from a class standpoint, other than taking down the middle and lower class by coming in, filling jobs, suppressing wages? And you're taking bullets for them? You're taking strays for them. You're wrapping up your babies in a blanket and going out in the streets for them, putting everyone's lives in danger, especially your own. So now we got a 37-year-old man, we got a whatever, how old Renee Nicole Good was. Who else is going to take a stray for this? What is the cause? You just don't like ICE? I don't understand the ideology. What are you doing? So no, I can't stress this enough how little I care. That you're getting vaporized in the streets by ICE. I can't stress that enough. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how to say it. I do not care. And it's going to continue to happen. And I think if this is going to be the way you act, then it's got to happen. I don't know what else the answer is. You are like a cancer. I want to sound like Agent Smith from Matrix. You are a disease. You're walking up into peaceful people are in their place of worship, and you're walking up in there. You are completely out of control. That is a Minnesota problem, and I fully agree with the feds coming in to do charges on at least a couple ringleaders. But I'm using that as an example of how could you even have me? There's no way I could even be on your side. And there's people I respect from the left that are okay with this. No, you're crossing lines. You're making enemies. So you're going against the federal government, but you're not galvanizing me. You're not galvanizing people who are open to saying, wait a second, I don't like this centralized power. I don't like immigration OS. That's really just basically Palantir. You think I'm supporting them handing over power to Palantir? You think I'm supporting them doing administrative warrants, just knocking on doors, knocking them down? You think I'm supporting that? No, I'm not. But unfortunately, I can't get to that because you all are a liability to everyone else. So you're out in the cold in negative 10-degree weather to make what statement? That you support the FBI, you support the federal government, but you just don't like ICE. That's the statement. Because you're for more taxes, you're for more government power, and then just for this odd reason, ICE is a problem. And you don't even have a solid position as to why. A fuck around and find out is not a strong enough term. You're going to continue eating lead projectiles until you stop acting stupid. It's that simple. I have no tolerance for, especially you're putting me in danger. You're putting everybody in danger. Anyone who talks against centralized power is in more danger because of your dumb ass. All of you. I don't know if you're paid. I'm not going to assume that. I think that's a bad take. I'm not seeing the money trail clearly spelled out. And I've looked at threads from people like the deaf and blind or whatever. I don't know, the Helen Keller Jew, the data Republican. And I'm not sold on the whole that this was all funded. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not sold on it. So let's assume it's organic. You're in the streets for Venezuelans, illegal Venezuelans, Mexicans, Somalians, Haitians. I mean, these are the people these people despise you. When they get into a room, I used to live out there. I've talked to some of the Somalis. I was cool with some of the Somalis. I didn't have a problem with large picture. They hate everyone that's not Somali. They're just survivalists. But I worked with a couple. Some of them are really into politics. As you can see, they're making moves politically down there. I've talked to them. They don't like you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. And it's kind of cringe to even talk about white liberal women right now because it's just, I mean, not cringe, it's just cliche. But dear white liberal woman, the Somalis laugh at you when you're not around. I don't know if you care. I don't know if that's going to help you find a man to get your life right, because that's the problem with you, liberal, lesbian, or whatever you are, white woman that's single. You got 2 kids and you're a lesbian, or you got no kids and you got a dog, and that's your life now, is you and your dog, and you have nothing better to do than go in the street and take lead sandwiches from the FBI, or not the FBI, but the feds from ICE. The FBI, where is the FBI, by the way? Where is the? It'd be nice for them to show up. Trump has the whole government. But dear you, textbook liberal white woman who's crashing out on TikTok, the Somalians hate you. They do not like you. That's why they're stealing money from you. I hope you realize that. I don't think it matters. I don't think you care, because you dislike me more than you care about them hating you. Because the Somalis are smart. They're just like, other than that Somali cop, I believe it was a cop that killed the white woman, they pretty much stay away. As long as you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you directly like that. They're not stupid. Well, when it comes to criminality, and when it comes to survival, they're not stupid. They are not stupid. When it comes to math, they ain't going to do calculus. But when it comes to, you put them in a culture of toxic tolerance, they will take advantage of you. They will rape you, literally, financially, and they come together as a team. They will get their protection, weapons, whatever they need. They are not, just because somebody is low IQ doesn't mean they can't survive. Doesn't mean that they aren't high IQ in other areas. So if you take an IQ of a Somalian, basically, let's take a Somalian and drop them in the middle of the south side of Chicago, they're going to survive more than some other people. So IQ is not the end all be all. How do you think they got here and they're flourishing, 85,000 strong in Minneapolis, acquiring political power? Donald Trump he doesn't even have a desire to mess with them. ICE comes through and they got the whites dying for them. Dear white, stop. I don't know what else to say to you. Please stop. And there's no reason for me. And now you made me an enemy. And this is really bad. Cenk Uygur online trying to take the position of the left just to take the position of the left. This is stupid. And I will call that out from the left or the right. I said J6 was stupid. But what happened? Let's kind of do a breakdown here. What happened today? If you had anything better to do, hopefully you did. I actually haven't dug into this. I'm going to do this live. Sometimes it's better to dig into it live. I know the general thing. I've seen the videos, but you got to read some of the stories, and I compiled it here. We're going to have AI get in here.
On the morning of January 24th in the Whittier neighborhood of Minneapolis, federal agents shot and killed 37-year-old Alex Preddy during a confrontation on Eat Street. Preddy was a registered nurse.
Is this life real? So they shot, he got shot and killed on Eat Street? Yeah, he got 8. That's for damn sure.
Preddy was a registered nurse at the local VA hospital and a United States citizen who was observing the raid from the sidewalk when Department of Homeland Security agents...
Why are you observing raids from the sidewalk? What is that? What is that supposed to accomplish? Somebody tell me. What are you doing? What is the purpose of this? If the leftists had the position, you know what? I don't like ICE. It doesn't matter why, even if we disagree on why. If the leftists said, I'm done with Trump, I'm done with ICE, I'm done with all of them. Here's what I want to do. I want to focus on Minnesota as a state, peacefully separating. Maybe we bond with California or whoever. I know that's a difficult thing from the geography of it, but we bond with people close. Maybe we get Chicago in there somehow, or the liberal Milwaukee. You get the liberal areas and say we're teaming up and we're gonna peacefully leave. I'm trying to tell you I'm not against the left. I've never been against the left. That's not what this channel has been about. But it is about keeping it 100 though. If you said, you know what, we're going to pay whatever off the national debt, we'll take that on our books. We're negotiating this. We're done. We're kind of done with this. We don't want ICE here. We like the Somalis. It's weird to say this, but we love the Somalis. We love the Haitians. We love the Hmong. We love all of these people who are here just basically living off the backs of the white taxpayers. They're on welfare. They're making up frauds and all that stuff. Fine. Even if that's the reasoning, fine. And you say, we want out. We're good. I think this relationship, this union, it's over. We don't acknowledge Trump and all that, and we want to do it peacefully. And here's what we want to negotiate. What does peacefully mean? It means we're not trying to have any type of war or shooting. We don't want anybody else eating pieces of lead. We just want to leave. It's almost kind of like what happened when the country started. You know what? It's been good. It's 250 years about. It's been fun. We're out. Peacefully. Meaning we're not going to be out and say we don't owe any debt or anything like that. We'll work out kind of trade agreements or whatever. We're willing to do all that. We'll have to do it on the fly, but we want out now. If they said that and the federal government went in, I would be 100% on their side because that's their right. That's their right to say, you know what, we've had enough. We're not doing this through Congress anymore. Or Amy Klobuchar is not on our side. She's a waste of time. I'd be on here like rallying. I'd be on here in your defense, Alex Preddy. If that was your take, but to do that takes organization. To do that takes, even if I'm not fully left like you are, to at least for me to say, wait a second, they have the right to do that. That would mean something to me, to have that and to say, wait a second, in Colorado or wherever you're at, they should be able to leave peacefully. I'm the one that said Trump should be impeached, and I still am not on your side because of what your position is. All you want to do is control the federal government to crush me. That's all you want to do. So why would I care? Why would I care if you're getting George Floyd every day by ICE? I don't care. This isn't just because you're going against them, that doesn't matter. If you go against them from that standpoint of we're done, we've got political power, we're going to defend ourselves, but we're not trying to take any more territory. That's what the South was doing. And I said the South was perfect. Even with the idea of slavery and literal state slavery back then, I think they had a right to say, we're going to keep slaves and we're going to peacefully leave. That's what the position was from the South. And I fully agreed with the South, for at least from their right to do it. Absolutely. And I'd defend Renee Good. I would defend Alex Preddy and then Jake Huger and those on the left to say that's based. I don't know where you guys got that from. I don't know where it came from, but that's based. Now, I mean, I'm fine. I'm not in the mood to laugh, but I know there's people on the right that are making jokes about it. And I guess I've been kind of flippant about it, but I'm not really like trying to make haha jokes about it. But I wouldn't be in that lane if that. So there is a position where you're protesting against ICE. See, it's not even, there is no position where you're protesting just against ICE that I'm going to agree with you. That's impossible. ICE is the federal government. Trump won. That's what we have. If you want to protest by gathering people to vote and change, absolutely. If you want to, you can't protest. Since when do we protest men with guns from the government or elsewhere? Since when does that make any sense? J6 or otherwise. That makes absolutely no sense. You're walking in front of the military type vehicles. You're fighting with men with guns and unlimited resource power with no kind of consolidation, no real backing or anything like that. You know, it's not like you have the National Guard there with you, or you're not doing any of that. You're just stupid. So let's go on to see if you don't know what happened. That's all we're doing here is just telling the story.
Preddy was a registered nurse at the local VA hospital and a United States citizen who was observing the raid from the sidewalk when Department of Homeland Security agents deployed pepper spray against bystanders who were filming the operation. Witnesses and video evidence indicate that after being sprayed, Preddy stepped forward to assist a woman who had been shoved to the ground and was immediately tackled by multiple agents. Into the pavement, a Border Patrol agent fired multiple shots at point-blank range, killing him instantly. Although federal officials claim Preddy brandished a weapon and violently resisted, video footage verified by local news outlets shows him holding only a cell phone in his right hand with his left hand empty. Preddy was a lawful gun owner with a valid permit, but witnesses state he never drew his weapon during the altercation. This fatal shooting occurred in the context of Operation Metro Surge, which is a massive immigration enforcement campaign launched by the Trump administration that has deployed thousands of federal agents from ICE and Border Patrol into the Twin Cities. It was the third shooting by federal agents in Minneapolis in just 3 weeks, following the death of Renee Good earlier in January. The operation has turned parts of the city into what local officials describe as a war zone, with heavily armed tactical units.
So when I watched the video, I saw, I don't know what happened before it. There was a woman who got pushed, and I believe it was from an ICE agent. It was a woman got pushed into a bank of snow, another one of those in that area. And then it seemed like this guy, Alex, wanted to come to this rescue or something, or to kind of intervene in that. And I think that's where the problem comes, is when, if you want to, people actually with their cell phone, they're doing more than Alex, making things worse. Having a cell phone, because what this is optics. You're trying to, if you had that picture of ICE pushing the woman, I guess you could try to put that and make that go viral. It did still, but you could use things like that to try and get people on your side. It wouldn't work for me in this situation, but it might work for some people. It is actually working for some people who that probably would consider themselves libertarian or basically not on the left. That are some people sympathized with Renee Good. I was surprised by some of the people who did, but you can get people that way. But when you come in, you're interjecting yourself. When do you interject yourself when a police officer is involved with somebody like that? Is that something that we see normally? What about the FBI? Do you just get in the way and start interjecting yourself to it? Is that a protest? That's not a protest. That's a declaration of combat with officers. I don't understand how you can even consider that a protest. A protest is if you're just laying on the sidewalk, and that's still problematic, because basically that's what Renee Good was doing, was using her car, not laying on the sidewalk, but using her car to just be in the way. But that is protest. But when ICE officer pushes a woman, obviously something's going on. There's some type of back and forth, and you get involved. Now, that's not you laying on the sidewalk or just trying to be in the way. And that's what happened to Renee Good. She was in a vehicle, which is a weapon, basically laying on the ground with her car in a way, and then all of a sudden trying to speed away. That now you turn it from protest to, now what are you doing? And the exact same thing happened here. It's amazing how little people value their life. It's amazing to me. So looking at it, there was a physical struggle, because I wanted to go to that. There was a physical struggle, and people are trying to say it was initiated by the agents. Who cares who it was initiated by? If they knock on my door, gotta stop saying that. They're knocking on doors for all kinds of things now, and I crash out on the J's way worse than the woman in Florida that got her door knocked by the locals. But if they knock on my door, I'm not. It doesn't matter if they initiated the struggle. What the hell does that mean? They're doing something, and they're officers with unlimited resources to apprehend you. So, what do you think? You're playing GTA or something like that? You can't even get away from them in GTA when you get wilding like that in a video game. So, no, I'm not. It doesn't matter if the officer initiated the struggle or not. You're not going to struggle back. The struggle back is in the court system. That's the only way. The government claims, basically ICE, they're claiming that he was fighting to use a weapon. People are using the video. Again, with the video, it's hard. I can't really tell what's happening. It did look like he had a cell phone in his hand. I didn't break it down and analyze it, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But, you know, it's very grainy. And I just hate video now because it's easy to fake and alter. It looked like the White House or the Department of Homeland Security posted a picture when they apprehended one of the people that protested in that church. It looked like I don't know if they did it or what. I never followed up on it, but it looked like there was AI used on the photo. So you can do the same thing with video very easily now. So it's hard to say what happened, but based on the video that's going viral that everybody's looking at, it did look like he had his cell phone in his hand. He definitely wasn't cooperating. It was hard to see. They looked like they were pounding him in his head. So something was going on there. It was a scuffle for sure. It was like 5 of them, or it was multiple agents on top of him. When I couldn't even see which agent shot, or I didn't even look at it that closely. I couldn't even tell. But it looked like the contact, as I said, started when Preddy stepped forward to help this woman who had been shoved down by an agent. You might have seen the video. It looked like he shoved her in the back, I believe. I'm not going to play the videos right now, but so he looked like he stepped forward to help the woman who was shoved down. He had his hands raised at first, but then agents immediately grabbed him and forced him down on the ground to the street. The video shows what it looks like to be a struggle, but it's hard to tell. And it was 5 agents, but only as 4 or 5, basically. This says 4 or 5 piled up on top of them. Add whatever knowledge you have, if you have any extra knowledge. I haven't even looked at the chat yet. We'll take a look at the chat here for real quick. So $5 super chat. Thank you. This one says, I'm a border patrol agent. You are correct, except ICE are special agents, not officers. Okay, thank you for correcting the nomenclature. BP Slick. BP Slick says that he is a border patrol agent and that ICE are special agents, not officers. So what is that distinction? I'm going to look up and see here in a second. What is the distinction? What is the distinction between special agent and officer? Someone told me ICE are special agents. I've never dug deep into any of that kind of stuff, so I appreciate it. So we're seeing that people are putting their lives on the line for what they believe in. In a way, I do respect that. If you're willing to put your life on the line for what you believe, at least a little bit. But you're too kind of casual with the hope that you continue breathing is the problem. That doesn't mean anything you're willing to put your life on the line for makes sense, and that I'm going to respect. So they pushed him to the street, and during the struggle, DHS claims Preddy violently resisted. So they're claiming that we're getting some stuff here, and I'm going to look for some quotes. DHS is claiming that he violently resisted. Again, we have the video, and it's kind of weird because we have the video. I'm going to say, what are the quotes. Has Trump spoken? Man, from politicians after the ICE shooting today. Has Trump spoken? Because I said, well, Trump needs to be impeached. I mean, this is just a disaster, and I'll talk about Trump before I get back into more of the what. This is 100%. That doesn't mean the shootings. I believe that both of these shootings are justified, just in my layman's review. So that's clear. But we don't want that to happen. We don't want ICE agents to be having to off people. That's not helping anything. I supported at one point mass deportations. Having to off people in the streets is not getting to the goal. So while I don't care that these two particular people got offed, because I can guarantee you they wouldn't care if I got offed, and that's not the only reason, but while these people got offed, it is still on Trump. It is still a problem. Just because the shootings are justified doesn't mean I'm not going to say Trump needs to be impeached. And when I say that, there's a million things that I would agree that Trump would need to be impeached for. And maybe I should do a list. I did that with Biden. This alone, Trump should be impeached off of. Why is Kristi Noem still in charge of Homeland Security? This is a disaster. This is a mess. This is a stain. It's not efficient. What is the point? What is the point of putting all of these resources, when you look from a dollar standpoint of deportation, who's deported literally out of the country, not detained? Everyone who's detained is not deported. How many people are deported? How much money per person are you spending just in Minnesota? Because what they're doing is just street work. I saw somebody rolling in. I don't know, these videos could be from anywhere, anytime, any decade, but it looked like it was from recently, maybe even today, where they rolled through the streets with, it looked like a tank. I don't know what these armored vehicles are called, but it wasn't a tank, but it was some big kind of paddy wagon armored vehicle, and the protesters are standing in front of it. So I'm like, what is the goal? How much did that cost? What is it accomplishing? Other than these crazy headlines and, I don't know, every 2 weeks another offed liberal, what are we accomplishing? Just because I don't care that the liberal got offed doesn't mean I want to see liberals getting offed. I have goals, I have political ideology, and I need that fulfilled. And offing liberals is not one of them. That does not fulfill, maybe it might for some other people, it doesn't fulfill anything for my ideology, my hope politically in this country. As much as I dislike Donald Trump at this point, if he were doing something like I thought the tariffs were going to be good, and he turned he's turned everything into a disaster. But at the one point, I thought the tariffs were going to be good. I thought they were done being proposed for the right reasons. Obviously, they were not. I don't want to get sidetracked into that. But if he were doing something I liked and I would talk about it, I would say so. He has been, just from this mass deportation standpoint, an absolute disaster. Playing games with the numbers of deportations, not doing mass deportations, and spending so much time, energy, focus, and media currency, bad press currency, to accomplish nothing. Per dollar spent, what is being accomplished? You're not squashing Minnesota, which I would be for, because they're acting a fool. I absolutely would be fine with Trump coming in and saying, okay, that's enough. This whole thing we're squashing this. When federal agents come through, you can't be throwing stuff at them. You can't be blocking the way. Detain them. Do whatever we need to do. And when it stops, then we'll stop. We'll stop having to pop off. He is in no man's land, though. He is putting his special agents in harm's way because they're not really flooding the zone with as many federal military people that they would need to control the situation. And then at the same time, they're not pulling out. So you've got just enough people there to keep the locals riled up, but you don't have enough to keep the riled up locals in check. That is no man's land. I used to play tennis. Either you go up to the net or you stay at the baseline. You don't play pickleball. You're not at the service line. That's the worst place to be because you can't get the ball at the net. If somebody hits a deep ground stroke, you can't return that. That no man's land is the worst place to be. And that's where Trump is putting these people. And we've had warnings from California, then Renee Good, and then now this. What is going on with Donald Trump? What is happening? Where is the leadership? Where is he? Make a decision. It's just a complete disaster. I mean, why is he not impeached? He should be impeached over legit shootings. Yes, absolutely. Because the policy makes no sense. So let's see if I got any evidence on the special stuff here. The distinction between special agent and officer lies in the job function and branch within the Department of Homeland Security. It said your friend. Yes. Friend of Snell knew you do a $5 super chat on a channel that makes no money. You are now friend of show. Your friend is only half right. ICE is split into two main components with different titles, and the Minneapolis raid involved a third group, Border Patrol, entirely. Here's the breakdown. Two halves of ICE. Special agents, HSI. These are the investigators. They work for Homeland Security investigations. This is all new to me. I have no idea what this is. I'm completely ignorant on this topic. They wear plain clothes, or I was about to say, they're not wearing or tactical gear labeled police or HSI. So that's where that term is coming from. Okay. They investigate complex crimes like the Feeding Our Future fraud, money laundering, and cross-border gangs. If your friend knows an ICE agent, they are likely HSI. Deportation officers, ERO, these are the enforcers. They work for enforcement and removal operations. They are responsible for finding and deporting people with final removal orders. They are officers, not special agents. Who was in Minneapolis? Operation Metro Surge is unique because it mixed all three elements, effectively creating a joint task force. So I've seen that. Now I understand. When they said joint task force, I don't know what, I was just thinking maybe, I don't know, ATF or something like that. I wasn't sure. Now it's making sense. The agent who shot Alex Peretti was neither an ICE special agent nor a deportation officer. He was a Border Patrol agent. Why this matters. Border Patrol agents, and I'm using Notebook LM right now. That Notebook LM is fire. I think it's using Gemini 3. Ooh, it is way better than ChatGPT. Why this matters. Border Patrol agents usually operate on the physical border. Bringing them into the interior of Minneapolis is what creates the war zone or conquest atmosphere. Why is that? These are federal tactical units known as BORTAC, Border Patrol Tactical Unit, acting as infantry. I'm still confused as to why that is creating a war zone. The investigators, the operation also, so this is what that super chatter, I think, because that super chatter had some knowledge here. The super chatter was trying, whatever super chatter, whatever it's called, the $5 was trying to get me down this path. So I really appreciate that one. It was the best one I had in a while. It's the only one I've had in a while. The operation also included HSI special agents likely looking for the fraud gang targets. One HSI agent officer is the one who had his finger bitten off. I saw people chatting about this. I saw people, oh, is this Bobby? Oh, we got to stop for a second before Bobby Ballbags. You always come in at the perfect time. We talking about niggas getting their fingers bitten off. How you doing, Bobby Ballbag? This is long time for the show. Long time. Haven't seen Bobby Ballbags in a minute, man. What is good, Bobby Ballbags? It was worth doing the live. So people might be like, why is a damn near 50-year-old man, I'm 48, why is a damn near a 50-year-old man talking about saying what's up to Bobby Ballbags? Because this dude is hilarious with great takes and just humor. I'm not wearing my glasses, so excuse me, I'm going to be squinting. I can't even see what the hell that is. Bobby Ballbags, $4.99, says, what the fuck is up? Been a minute. Love you, brother. Don't let the black pill consume you. Oh, I appreciate you, man. Looking out for a homie. Yeah, you know what? I'll digress on that for a second. The black pill. I don't really believe in the black pill, though. I know it might sound like I do, but I don't really believe in it. I'm going to go dark for a second here. Let me go dark for a second. I don't know if I believe in it. I just need to blow my nose. I think I really believe that you can look at this and everything I talked about at this point. I don't really feel I've been black pilled. I'm not one of the people that, and I have no problem with them, but people that say you've got to bring optimism and stuff like that. That's just not me. I just right now where I'm at, I just want to say what we need to know where we're at. We need to level set. That's what I need. So it's not black pill for me with anything this live here. Nothing has been black pill. We need a level set. Level set why you getting capped. Now, obviously not you, Bobby Wildbacks, but you on the left getting capped in the streets is not a problem for me. I guess you could say it's a problem indirectly, but it's not a concern. I'm still eating my Wheaties. I'm moving on to the next story. I'm not saddened. I'm not. It's like, okay. I'm more like, when are you guys going to get right? So I don't know. I don't think I'm black pilled. I think AI is still one of the top. I mean, the number one thing is belief in Jesus Christ it's just paramount for me is, I'm still obviously on my faith journey and, still trying to figure out how to absorb the Bible and quotes and Voice of Stephen is just so good. It's just because I was watching Bryson Gray, who was doing something similar to what Voice of Stephen's doing, but Voice of Stephen's doing it not no just about Bryson Gray. It was Bryson in the Bible, but Voice of Stephen is doing like full breakdowns, reading it, and man, he's very very smart. Obviously friend of the show, very smart dude, and I'm just listening, doing dishes, listening. And like, man, the Bible is crazy. A lot of stuff that I might have read at one point, but I totally forgot. And that's the guiding light. I think that's the guiding light. And I think that's the difference between black pill or not. How could I be black pilled? I don't even know how I could be. I might come across that way though. I really, and I think Bobby Ballbags is just looking out for a homie, which I appreciate. But I think you can look at everything and be half glass half full or empty. I mean, we looking at, Nick and Sneeko and Cliv. Look at Clav. You got Nick, Sneeko, Clav, the Tates, Myron, Fresh, and then the other whatever dude, the dude that smokes the cigars, Justin Waller, something like that. They go to the club and they're having fun and they're playing. They play HH, whoever put it on there. And in the aftermath, you have Nick who's steadfast. Like he has a guiding light and principle. And even though Sneeko's not Christian, he has his own kind of guiding light and principle. But you look at the Tates they go run and find the nearest Jew to tap dance for, like Donald Duck from Looney Tunes with the cane, Gary the numbers guy, Adam from PBD, and they basically bend the knee. I mean, basically bend the knee and tap dance for these Jews because they don't really. Tate is so good and also smart. One of the most articulate streaming guys I've ever seen. But I don't know what his guiding light is. Obviously, he's okay with pimping out hoes, literally. Sneako's not that. He might bang a hoe or two, but he's not going to be putting them up on his own OnlyFans. So I think if you don't have something, then you're going to be lost, man. Everything's going to be a black pill. Matt Walsh, and I'm not accusing Matt Walsh of being black pill. We'll get back to the story in a second, but this is an important topic because I've had to debate this in my head. And I think you've seen some influencers potentially get burned out because of potentially the black pill. But Matt Walsh, perfect example of where I see people could be potentially black pilled. He's against AI. And he has legitimate points in AI. I think Voice of Steven might agree with Matt Walsh on certain things based on what are the conversations we've had on AI. And I don't blame you. AI is soulless. Absolutely. You might have concerns of it's almost trying to play God and that you're creating a life, almost like a life and an entity that will have power and be able to make decisions, whether it has a conscience or not, that could destroy the whole universe. That's how powerful AI is. But here's my counter to that. That is the nihilistic, dark, black pill view. Matt Walsh, for example, also said, well, we don't see the same type of family movies that we used to as much back in the day. Yeah, he's doing his porch thing. I've done it too. We're on the porch saying it's not like it was back in the day. But Matt Walsh, you're talking about AI not having soul. That's like saying a hammer doesn't have soul. That's like saying a gun doesn't have a soul. No, it's a tool. No, it doesn't have a soul. I know it's more complicated. I know it's more dangerous, almost like a nuclear weapon, even more dangerous than a nuclear weapon. That's why they're fighting over TikTok and all that. It's the algorithm. But it is a tool. It's no different than a gun. It's no different than a hammer. It's no different than a nuke. It's no different than a hat. It's the America First Nick Fuentes hat right here. I'm gonna pass on the Epstein. The Epstein zip up is dope, but I'm pass on that. Maybe I'll talk about that later. Nick is a fool, man. And spoiler alert, I fully support Nick and the Epstein. What do they call them? The zip up, whatever. A lot of blacks been wearing them now, but I like the styles back. But there are tools. They're used for. This is a tool used for propaganda, used for promotion, not propaganda in a bad way, but good propaganda. Propaganda I agree with. AI is a tool that will allow more people, maybe even yourself, Matt, to write and make a movie. I know it looks sloppy now, but it's getting better. When the Model T was created, it's not where it was now. When the first laptop was created, you know how powerful this is not even a MacBook Pro, this is an Air. I got the MacBook Pro, the iPad. The technology is amazing. I remember my brother, the first time I saw the iPad 1, my brother had it. My younger brother had the iPad 1. I still remember we're at the kitchen table. Oh man, my mom was still around, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And my mom's looking at it like, what is that? You know, like almost like where there's an alien object in the room, and we're all around it like, dang, that's the iPad 1. And then I slowly realized like it's just a big iPhone. But my point is, from where that came to where we are with the iPad Pro now and the MacBook Pro, the power with these things, the power you have in your palm of your hand, Matt, and you know this as much as anybody, Matt, if we went back to the 17th century, the 18th century, and showed them these things, they would think we were a sorcerer. They would think we were God. That's the same thing that's going to happen with AI. I know it has no soul, but it's going to be able to imitate real life where you won't even know, Matt. You won't be able to know. Matt, it's going to be so good. I could make a version of you. I mean, I can kind of do that now. Copying you, voice, mannerism takes everything. I could make my own Matt Walsh show. I wouldn't do that, but I'm just telling you the power of this. So it's a tool. So Matt, why isn't the message, instead of trying to be nihilistic or dark or black-pilled, you could argue, why isn't the message, let's make sure we can use this tool? That's why I like Brian Romelli on Twitter, one of the best followers. That's his whole thing is AI, make it localized. Don't get trapped up in the algorithm that can harm you. Make your own algorithm. I mean, it's do it yourself. How do you use the saw, the lawnmower, the hammer, the refrigerator, the pencil, the laptop? That's like saying the laptop is dangerous. No, Matt, it's a tool. So I'm just using that as an example, as you can be black-pilled on whatever you want to be. And you think the AI slop is a, I hate accusing him of being black-pilled, because every take is not a black-pill take. But if anybody out there is black-pilled on AI, I understand why. But you could also look at it as an opportunity. And I know that sounds corny, but it's true. So let's go back to our story here. We're going through and talking about the difference. That was very interesting. So just to recap the special agents part, to put a bow on that, special agents, HSI, hunt the criminal organizations. Border Patrol agents are the muscle, infantry brought in for the surge, the conquerors, you could say. Deportation officers handle the logistics of removal. The fact that a border agent pulled the trigger in South Minneapolis, this is AI telling me this, proves my point about conquest. They didn't send a detective to serve a warrant. They sent the border infantry to retake the territory. See, AI doesn't fully understand. I mean, I wish Trump would either do that or pull out to let tensions die down. Because I don't know when the last time we saw this in cold weather that the people are out. I mean, that's dedication. Imagine if this was the summer. It would be Floyd too, probably. Because it's crazy cold out there. At least when I saw it. I don't know about today, but. So let's go into, I did a little bit on why. So let's look at this.
Asking why this is happening and why a federal army is currently occupying South Minneapolis, and the answer is not as simple as a border dispute or racism. The reason Operation Metro Surge has turned the Twin Cities into a war zone is that Minneapolis allowed a massive criminal enterprise to masquerade as a nonprofit sector for years, and now the federal government is finally conducting a controlled demolition of the scavenger economy. To understand that this is not just about catching people with expired visas, it is about the feeding our future scandal where over $250 million of your...
This is, so I do voice to text, and I told AI, this is my opinion, and I put some of my previous lives in there, and it says, okay, we'll connect the dots for you. So let's see how it's doing that.
Tax money was stolen by a network that set up fake food distribution sites to bill the government for feeding imaginary children. Not a few bad apples, it was an industrial-scale looting operation centered right in the neighborhoods. ICE is now raiding where businesses like the Safari restaurant claim to be serving thousands of meals a day in an empty building while siphoning $16 million directly into the pockets of fraudsters.
Damn.
You are seeing from local politicians like Ilhan Omar is not moral outrage, it is the terror of a parasite realizing the host is finally fighting back. Screams about an occupying force and demands the agents leave. She is protecting the very infrastructure that funds her political machine, because the overlap between the fraud ring and her donor list is a matter of public record. That indicted fraudsters like Getty and Abdi Hakim Ahmed were cutting checks to her campaign while they were laundering millions of dollars meant for hungry kids. Return that money when they got caught, but the connection remains undeniable because the specific apartment towers in Cedar Riverside that ICE is surrounding are the exact same locations implicated in the ballot harvesting allegations from years ago. Operation is striking.
It's all tying back to that in a way.
Striking at the heart of a dual-use network that functions as a vote bank during elections and a money laundering hub during the off-season. Why the reaction from the community is so violent and immediate, because you're not watching a civil rights movement, you are watching a turf war where a local gang structure is trying to defend its territory against a superior federal rival. The Department of Homeland Security explicitly stated they are targeting the worst of the worst, including members of the Somali outlaws, and the Bloods who have used these fraud proceeds to arm themselves and terrorize the very people claiming to be victims. Reports of fraud witnesses being threatened with death by gang members, invoking their clan ties to silence snitches, which proves that this was never a charitable endeavor but a gangster fiefdom built on federal subsidies. Agents kick down doors in Little Mogadishu. They are not disrupting a community center. They are disrupting a fortified criminal ecosystem that thought it was untouchable because it hid behind the shield of diversity. The ultimate tragedy is that the people bleeding on the pavement to defend the system are the very taxpayers who were robbed by it in the first place. White liberals like the nurse who was killed standing in the freezing cold to protect a demographic that I have called triangle-headed scavengers, who look at them with absolute contempt while stealing their resources. Sickness of the modern American condition, where we are so desperate to atone for the sins of our ancestors that we will literally act as human shields for the people looting our treasury.
And I don't agree with the sins of our ancestors. We have sins now, so but I understand the sentiment of that is where a lot of this comes from. And to give Matt Walsh credit, I talk about Matt Walsh quite a bit because he is great. He's doing this Daily Wire behind the paywall thing, and it's the first time in a long time I was like, oh, I wish I kind of subscribed to Daily Wire to watch it. I'm not going to because I don't like the organization, but I did it once. I think I was paying $10 a month, got the Candace stuff, and then a couple other stuff. I didn't even actually use it that much, but he's doing like a segment. It's called Real History or something like that, where I like the concept. It's not the most exciting of things, but it is right in the wheelhouse of Matt Walsh. And everything doesn't have to be exciting, like, sensational. And he was talking about slavery. That's why this original sin. And he was talking with Megyn Kelly. And the conversation kind of went to like, why are you doing this? And he was answering that question at least. And he said that's kind of where this problem in America starts, is with the idea and everyone being taught indirectly or directly that the country was founded on a sin of slavery. And the whole thing after that means it's discredited. Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, all of it. And I think he's absolutely right. That is a fundamental place to start. That's stuff I used to talk about back when it was stuck in the middle, 1619 Project, Nicole Hannah-Jones. But it is a legit place. I know the problems with Matt Walsh, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But it is a legit, and it's less about Matt Walsh than more the company that he works with for. But that is a legit place to start. We have to start there. I mean, even Byron Donalds remember when Byron Donalds and Ron DeSantis, at least him and Ron DeSantis' camp kind of had a back and forth when Ron was running. It was on slavery. It was on Ron's take on slavery. And that is the topic we have to meet head on. And we can't allow it to fester. If we're going to change this right here, can't allow it to fester. Even red states often teach that in the wrong manner.
Sickness of the modern American condition, where we are so desperate to atone for the sins of our ancestors that we will literally act as human shields for the people looting our treasury. Omar is not a conqueror, she is a traitor and a scavenger, but she is only effective because we have become so insecure in our own identity that we leave the back door open, and then thank the burglars for taking the silverware. Operation Metro Surge is the harsh reality check that a sovereign nation eventually sends to collect the rent. And Minneapolis is finding out that you cannot run a sanctuary for thieves forever without eventually facing the landlord.
Yeah, so it did my voice to text, but it didn't fully get that Trump isn't doing all that. I mean, I guess he's kind of in the middle, is why people are getting offed over there, but he hasn't gone all the way there. So we'll continue to follow this story. It's going to be crazy over the next couple days. It's not dying down because we got another situation here, and there's other. I just wanted to look and see. Well, where could we take this? Not tonight, but for other areas that we could talk about this, the argument of what's a protest, what's a street war. I find that interesting. I think we need to flesh that out. I think the scale of resources that you have comparing to the federal government and this being the wrong avenue, especially considering your resources. And I think I have not dug into. I think Dr. Karlin Borisenko has done a great job talking about this ICE watch, because it's just, how do they even know what's happening? There's some type of infrastructure. How does just a random woman know where ICE is? Like, are they that overt? It seems like there is this underground network, must be sophisticated, maybe with inside sources, that's telling people where they are. Like, how does that happen with FBI? And where is the FBI, by the way? I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on with that, with Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. No idea. I was a Kash Patel supporter at one time, believe it or not. So I'll take a look at some, get an instrumental here going, and then we'll take a look at some comments, and we'll be out. I'm contemplating if I'm still going to work out. Ooh, late. If I work out, I won't be back till like 2 a.m. my time. But I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Let's see. No? Okay. Well, I guess it's not going to play. All right. Well, I'll take a look at the channel. I don't know why my Bluetooth messes up sometime. Let me take a look at what we got going on. I'll be out. I can see the Twitch chat. Are there people from Twitch chatting here? I can see the Twitch chat, and Trump is not a PDF file. Biden is. I'm not going to say that. I don't know what Trump is. I have no idea what Trump is. I am done giving him that broad the benefit of the doubt. He could be a PDF file. But, the PDF file discussion is a complicated one. I think Voice Steven and I talked about that a little bit. If I remember correctly, I think we were on a live. And I've talked about it a little bit on the channel too. I don't talk about it often because I don't have a problem with the societal structure of the 18 years old, but I debate people with it, and people are really, and I really give Nick credit because he addressed it head on. He has in the past, but he's bigger now than he was before. And there's a lot of people coming at him. So it'd be easy for Nick to just not talk about the topic. But here's my understanding, guys, is there is when you look at it from a Christian standpoint, and we're talking about the PDF stuff, and I guess we can talk about I guess I'm not going to work out tonight. We'll see. But the PDF discussion is, so Nick brought it up, and I haven't brought it up a lot because I'm just wondering how important is it. Nick brought it up, and Nick Fuentes, of course, brought it up from the standpoint of, I think he felt it was important because people are using, and I fell into this trap too, the Epstein thing. They're focusing on the PDF allegations, but not the Israel part of it. The problem with Epstein at its core is, wait a second, our ally has a spy, allegedly.
To have the privilege to stand with the Jew is a tremendous honor.
Our ally basically says you have the privilege to stand with the Epstein, and that's a tremendous honor. And that's where the joke comes from with Nick saying he was cool. But the position is the PDF is what we're upset about. Well, of course, nobody wants that. And then so Nick's like, well, is this really PDF in that aspect. It's young, actually, before we call them adults 18, but it's not the same as like the dark PDF stuff that it's enough to blackmail these guys because of how you act about it. But wait, let's hold up a second. The problem is that this country that I'm supposed to support, or I'm anti-Semitic, has a spy who has corrupted every aspect, every pillar of American society, from educators to entertainment to politicians, and controlled them so that they are corrupted on behalf of a foreign country. They use the young, pre-adult girls as the vehicle and other things, but the core problem is that. Why aren't we talking about that? Because if you cared about the girls, then you would be wondering who's using the girls. It's the allegedly Israel. That was the take there. And then out of that take where Nick said, well, I have to parse this out to say, wait a second, you guys are acting way disproportionately on one side of this issue, and you don't even want to have the conversation about that issue. Is an 18-year-old with a 16-year-old a PDF file now? I really hope not. It's never been in the history of the world outside of maybe the last 30, 40 years. And then it comes to what's the guiding light? To me, as the Bible, Christianity is the guiding light. And this is the conversation that Voice and Stephen and I had, was the whole purpose of marriage is for a man to hand over his daughter to another man. That's what it is. And we've turned it into this feminist thing where it's the empowerment of a woman, basically, to choose a man. No, that's not what it is. Stop. If you believe that's what it is, you are a feminist. Everybody, I mean, a small minority of people are not feminists. Feminism is American culture at this point. Because we look at these things as ceremonies, or where you ask the father for the permission to marry the daughter, like it's supposed to be an automatic yes, basically, or you don't even have to do it, and like it's just a thing. And then you spend tens of thousands on it, inviting all these people for money, and with you spending money and buying dinner, and then it's the wedding, it's the reception, and it's this whole thing. But no, at its core, it is about men leading. And it does not, there, to my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I always leave room to be wrong. To my knowledge, the Bible does not have anything where it says somebody's 18 years old, then the woman, that now she's no longer underneath the father, and she goes and finds the man and it's a done deal. No, that's not how it works. It came up with Joel Webon, had something, was talking about interracial marriage, and he had a black on his show, which was good to have the counterpoint. Every show needs a counterpoint, to me, to have that tension. But the black is, basically, I don't know who he is, but the typical black who says, you have to approve of an interracial marriage. No, you don't. Why would, basically the black is saying, hypothetically, Joel Webon, if your daughter wanted to marry a black, you wouldn't support it? Like, that's a silly question. And so Joel Webon, he didn't say that he wouldn't support it. He said, if, there might be, his position was, for every black that would be, the position, actually, the setup was, if the black believed everything that you wanted a person to believe for your daughter, basically, that the ideology of the black was solid, why wouldn't you choose the black? And then Joel Webon didn't say he wouldn't choose the black. He said, if there's 20 other white men that have the same ideology, I'd prefer that. And then no problem with that. My position was, he's the father in this hypothetical. It doesn't matter why. I mean, we can talk about why if you want to, like, why do I like chocolate ice cream over vanilla or whatever preferences? I've been eating graham crackers, not too much because I'm trying to not do the carbs, but uh, I've I've been eating graham crackers with cheddar cheese. I know some people, it's actually really good. My wife thinks it's disgusting. My wife eats cottage cheese. That almost makes me want to barf thinking about eating cottage cheese. We have different preferences. You can just to get to know each other better, find out why, but it doesn't matter why. I'm not eating cottage cheese. It tastes like shit. That's why. It tastes like spoiled milk. That's why to me. It's disgusting. And I eat almost everything. I try almost everything. I had pig brains. I've had escargot. I mean, those are probably the craziest things I've eaten. So I guess it's not that crazy, but there's not a lot of things I don't eat. And my point is you can have a preference and it's okay, but it's through the father. So black, if you think, and I was in this position, is you have to make the case to the father. It doesn't matter if the woman is 26. It doesn't matter, biblically speaking, if the woman's 16, which was never a disgusting or a crazy thing until recently. And I understand we're living longer, so that kind of skews the numbers a little bit. But from a fundamental standpoint, it's not different. Biologically, it's not. Then what I mean is a 16-year-old getting married, a father handing off the 16-year-old to another man. The disgusting part of the Epstein stuff with, I don't know the full ages of the ranges. I'm 14 to whatever else. Some people say there's younger ones. I haven't seen anything that confirms that to me, but I'm not an expert in the ages of them. I am very knowledgeable in his ties to Israel, but I'm not as in the other stuff. So I was already on the same page with Nick. I just didn't realize it subconsciously. You never heard me with the Epstein stuff focused like that in depth on the PDF part. I've done deep dives. I have deep dive tweets with layered bullet points of connections of Epstein to Israel. Now, when we talk about the Epstein stuff, the very disgusting thing is obviously sex outside of marriage. And then also taking advantage of the young women who don't obviously have a strong father in their lives, a father that's not there to say, whoa, that's not what we're doing. So you're taking advantage of fatherless girls, basically, whether it's literally or figuratively, fatherless girls. That's what you're doing. Biblically speaking, the father can hand over the daughter at 16 to a 30-year-old. From a biblical standpoint, find where I'm wrong on that. I'm fine with, if society says 18, whatever. That's fine, but let's be real. I keep it 100. Let's be real about what that is. That's just an arbitrary thing. And we all agree with it. I don't care. I'm not trying to fight it. I'm just telling you that's the PDF type discussion, and it just came up because somebody said Trump's the PDF. Yeah, Trump's not a PDF like that to me. Nah, not like that. Not like that. I'm not backing Trump. You're not gonna see me have Trump's back or anything like that. That's for damn sure. I'm out on that because he's covering up for Epstein the whole way. But let's just say, was Trump with girls that were under 18? I'm not having his back on that anymore. I'm out of that. He didn't do the work it took to kind of get me on that page if he wanted to do that. If he wanted me on his side there. And then since we talked about Nick and the Epstein thing, if you don't know, Nick has a quarter zip or whatever they call it, which I actually think is a cool style for the blacks. The black men are wearing quarter zips. My brother's actually, it's out. It was out of style. Now it's back. But back in the day, not back in the day, like 10 years ago or so, they were rocking the quarter zip with the tie, and that was unique at the time. And they did their tie before I get into Nick and the Epstein stuff. They did their ties with they did a fat tie. So my brothers, we were raised to be independent thinkers. They just made up their own fashion. And everybody would be like, how'd you get your tie so fat? And I don't know if they just did it short. I never even found out how they did it, but I just respected that they had their own style. So they would have their, dress shirt big fat tie, and then the quarter zip. Nobody was rocking it back. This is 10 years ago. Not many people that I know were rocking it. But I like the look. And what's Nick, my understanding is in a famous photo, Epstein's wearing a quarter zip. And Nick put basically the same design quarter zip on sale at his store. And it's just brilliant, man. I mean, people say you got to stop glazing Nick. I'll stop glazing Nick. I fell out with so many Trump and all these other kind of people, Tim Pool or whoever, not, fell out, but I don't watch them anymore. I respect them. So if that happens, that will happen. Trust me. Not glazing Nick just to glaze Nick. But why would I glaze Nick on the Epstein quarter zip? Because the bruh understands he had a generational run in 2025. Unprecedented run of political dominance that we haven't seen since Trump, and he was more dominant than Trump. Him and the Groyper army. He is not by himself. It's the Groypers that are really the engine behind it. He's the leader. What does that mean? That means you had a whole bunch of people, even people like a Jake Shields, other people who kind of jumped on board in a way. What does that look like? That's a wider tent. What was the problem with MAGA? MAGA never really had a mantra that you could stick to as the tent got wider. It was just make America great again. What does that mean? So the tent keep getting wider and wider, and it just means we accept basically gays, and so we accept Dave Rubin, but not Nick Fuentes. That's how wide the tent got. And then it got wider. We accept Nicki Minaj. We accept Amber Rose. And remember, I'm like, what? I don't know where I am anymore. The tent is so wide, I feel like I'm a 90s Democrat now. What is happening? The same thing, obviously, is early on for the Groyper movement. The same thing could happen to any movement. So you had a lot of people on the left. I'm telling you guys, multiple people on the left text me all the time about Nick Fuentes because they know I follow him and I appreciate them. They respect my opinion, and they don't want people to know that they kind of watch Nick. So my point is, they're watching Nick, like they're literally watching the show and saying, "Wait, what was this reference?" And I'm like, "Whoa, they all watching." I remember I got a DM on Twitter. I was like, "Damn, I haven't even watched that episode yet." You up on Nick more than I am, but so they're kind of on the fringe and they're agreeing with Nick, and Nick has no problem with that. I don't want to speak for Nick, but every time I say that, I speak for Nick. I don't think he has a problem with that. But what he wants to do is gatekeep. Remember, we talked about that. Eric July talks about that with his Ripaverse. He's like, gatekeep the hell out of this. You think gatekeeping is bad? MAGA was not gatekept. You didn't keep it clean. So how do you keep the Groyper movement clean? You do these edgelord. So he's back on the edgelord. How do you edgelord nowadays? I'm speaking on the Jews. Like, that's not edgelording. Calling out the Jews is not an edgelord. And I don't call them out to be a edgelord. I call them out because my mantra is to keep it 100. Just the signal. Just so we're clear. That's not for edgelording. I'm not really an edgelord like that. You got to kind of be younger to be an edgelord. Like, Tate's not an edgelord. You're too old. Even Sneako's getting up there. Even Nick's getting up there, too. But they're still under 30. How do you edgelord now? That's how you do it. He's like, wait a second. How do I get clipped by right-wing watch now? If he calls out a Jew, the Stop Anti-Semitism didn't even nominate this nigga. They're like, it's just embedded. It's baked in. When everybody was like, wait, you didn't nominate Nick for like Anti-Semite of the Year? They're just like, no, we're kind of there now. I mean, he's not a surprise. That's why they wanted to make a rise with Ms. Rachel to call her. That caused the stir to call her the Anti-Semite of the Year, not Nick. What would that have done? They wouldn't have got them any press or anything. So Nick he's not going to get clipped. Part of the reason he's living in the underground and being so successful is he knows how to get clipped by the people who actually hate him so he can get the algorithm booming on that. The algorithm with the echo chamber is great, but you got to get it booming with, from his standpoint, with the haters. He used to do lives. This is back in like 2020. Would watch Nick when I first started watching him with the old set, obviously, and he would be mad because most people weren't watching the show. They didn't see. He openly admitted that many times that he wanted these left groups or whatever they are to clip him out of context to go viral, because he's not on YouTube, still not. I don't know if he's monetized on Rumble. He's still suppressed. No YouTube channel at all. Still not on YouTube. YouTube lets Nico back. Nick's not back. So he still needs to be able to be clip farmed by the hatred. And then what does that do? All the people who kind of got on that generational run that became hanger-ons, liabilities, didn't understand the core focus, because it's America First. That's the same vagueness as MAGA. What does America First mean? I think it's better than MAGA. It's a little bit tighter because there is a mantra there. It's like America First. What does making America great again mean? I don't know. But America First is still vague. Still a vague title. So Nick's like, we're not going to be supporting Nicki Minaj in a few years. How do you get them out of there? The N-word's not getting them out of there. The leftists are still tweeting me. He's dropping the hard ERs and everything. How do you get people not, and it's not just the left, it's the Toads, and I don't have any beef with Toad, but I've seen Toad kind of get red pilled in the last few months to a year. And I'm not saying I've been in the game for a long time, but you can see, like, you don't even listen to Nick. You don't even know what this is about. And you're criticizing Nick that he's selling out because of his Venezuela take and all that. How do you get those people who kind of came in the tent or tent adjacent, how do you get them to get the hell up out of here? He knows they're going to agree when Nick says something they agree with. When Nick says something they agree with, they're going to agree. But you're not a part of the core movement. The hard ERs aren't getting them out. There's nothing getting them out. The talks about Jews aren't getting them out. Everybody's talking about the Jews. There's Jew fatigue. Everybody knows about it. It's not even sensational to say. So what you have a problem of, there's a little bit too many people kind of being America First adjacent. Let's do something that's sensational, still has some truth to it. Jeffrey Epstein, why did people hang with Jeffrey Epstein? Because he was cool. He was that type of guy. He was cool. He was the man. However he got there, he was rich, had the girls, was a party guy, knew everybody. Yeah, that's what it was. So Nick's like, oh yeah, Epstein was cool. And people clip it out of context, or not even out of context, just don't even know what's happening. That Nick, so he's getting free advertisement for his quarter zip. It's the number one seller in the store now, the Epstein quarter zip, to say, now this is the edgelording. He's not supporting Epstein. He's not supporting anything Epstein did. What he's saying is, this is our movement. If you don't get this joke, if you don't get the edgelording, then you can tune in every once in a while. I don't need you. I'm here. I have a reason to be here. He wants to make money, obviously. He wants to sell things because you don't have a movement without money. He's in negotiations for an endorsement with some type of gold company. And he said it's not the Jews. But that's what it's about, is saying, wait a second, the movement still's got to be core, because he's doing it with a purpose. He's not doing it just to ride the algorithm. And when he said that, it chased all. I was just like, wow. Because before I even kind of rocked with Nick like that, I was doing the same thing on Twitter. I would drop an N-bomb or whatever in my stuff. I still do that. So I still actually use the Jews stuff. When I know it's somebody, it doesn't shock, like, generally speaking, everyone. But I was arguing back and forth with some people about Section 230. Section 230, and I despise, X came out with this curated feed of, here are the tech bros, the best people in tech. They already suggest stuff, so it's not that new, but I forgot what they call it, smart selections or something like that, where if you're into memes or tech stuff, it gives you a suggestion of the best people to follow. And I'm like, well, you're literally a publisher at this point. You're editing people, you're deleting stuff, you're downranking posts, your algorithm is crazy, all of them are. And now you're even doing more curation. How are you not a publisher? How are you not treated as a publisher in regard to Section 230? I don't want to get too down into that, so every time you put Section 230 into a post and you have enough reach, there's these bots. I don't know how they're scraping it, but they know you put it in there. And every time I put it in there, I knew the guy with the monkey avatar and somebody else, they always reply to me and we always debate because I'm just I don't know. I just fall for it and we go back and forth on Section 230. It's been happening for years now. And this time I was kind of tired. I'm like, I'm tired of you following me like that. And he posted something to go get to support his argument from, I forgot who it was. It was Ari Cohen. It was a Jew. It was a Jew lawyer to support his case. And I knew that he didn't want to have like a Jew conversation. I just knew it. So I said, really? You're going to support your case with a Jew lawyer? I said it purposely just to say, bro, if you're going to keep this conversation going, we're going to amplify the Jew talk and then we can keep it going. And then he blocked me and he was out of the conversation. But that's what Nick was doing with the Epstein stuff. It's an inside joke for his people. It's a funny joke. It rides off the back of what he was saying, where like the focus really should be on Epstein more. I mean, on Israel more than even Epstein. And then they said, oh, he sold out. And he's like, okay, I sold out. Okay, Epstein was cool. And he does the Epstein court. It's just brilliant. Keeping the movement pure and kind of getting rid of the riffraff is what he was doing. Brilliant stuff. Burger King, okay. Just go with the hard ER. I mean, why do the Burger King? Just go with it. Just go all the way. Voice of Steven sent me a video that was so good that dropped the heart. It was a black guy talking about there's different types of blacks, and he went with the hard ER, the A, and then I guess basically good blacks. It was a good video. Went viral. All right. Burger, fries, and shake. Okay. I guess we're devolving the chat, but all right, I appreciate y'all. I'm out. I am gonna. Damn, it's late. That's a debate I have to have with myself off camera. I'm gonna be mad at myself if I don't. And when I say workout, I'm not doing a full like hour or anything. At least a little something. I think I am. The gym's not that far away. That's why I have Anytime Fitness. Workout anytime. But appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This is I go live when I can. To Index Red, I go by Osiris. I appreciate y'all. Peace.